Hey friends, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. Today we are talking about the downtown girl aesthetic. Hey friends, hello, I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm finally getting around to breaking down the downtown girl aesthetic. A bunch of you guys had previously requested that I do a deep dive on this aesthetic, and let me tell you, once I did, I fell in love. I had previously not known that this aesthetic was called downtown girl aesthetic. And in my own head, I think I just sort of have always called this like the tote bag girlies type of aesthetic. And now I know it's called the downtown girl aesthetic. It is heavily inspired by people like Rory Gilmore or Brittany Murphy. And it's just this aesthetic that romanticizes the idea of living in downtown New York. There is certainly a very specific look that comes with this aesthetic, which of course we'll break down in just a moment. If you guys like these types of aesthetic exploration videos, I have done quite a few other ones, so feel free to check out the playlist I'm going to leave down below called Aesthetic Exploration. And feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Now, without further ado, I'm going to break down the aesthetic, and then I have 4 outfits that I styled for you guys based on the aesthetics sort of requirements. So let's jump right on in. Okay, so I have my notes here on my iPad. If I'm looking down, that is what I'm looking at. So basically, let's start from the very beginning. What is the downtown girl aesthetic? Like I said, the downtown girl aesthetic is a style slash kind of lifestyle as well that really romanticizes the idea of living in downtown New York City. Being a New Yorker myself, now obviously I don't live there anymore, but I grew up there, I can totally understand how this became a thing, because as a young Long Island girly, I used to dream of the day I could grow up and live in the Big Apple. And so I completely can see how like the idea of romanticizing New York just became like a thing. And also the city itself has just so much magic around it. Now, in case any of you were wondering, downtown Manhattan is generally considered to be the part of the city south of 30th Street, according to StreetEasy.com. It includes places like Soho, Tribeca, and the West Village. This aesthetic has also just been called the New York City Girls aesthetic, but like I said, I feel like I've been calling it the tote bag girlies aesthetic for like the longest time ever. According to The Elm, which is the Washington College newspaper, the downtown girl aesthetic is heavily inspired by the model off of duty look. This became really popular during like COVID times. People were really looking, and even before that it was popular, but I remember it becoming sort of into public consciousness during like the COVID times, where people were looking at like Kendall Jenner and Gigi Hadid and Hailey Bieber and sort of how they were dressing and their sort of cool girl, casual, yet feels put together kind of style. It's also really inspired by the indie sleaze aesthetic. Further, it is often lumped in with the coquette style, which is a term with a quite salacious history, but that is now used to describe feminine styles typically worn by teenage girls, which does feel a little bit problematic considering the like past meanings of this, which is like sort of the hypersexualization of teenage girls. So to me, it does seem a bit problematic. Unfortunately, as to who created this aesthetic, who is maybe like the first major influence of this aesthetic, that information doesn't seem to be readily available, which makes sense with fashion being so fluid. It seems like it'd be quite difficult to pinpoint, especially an aesthetic that is just so casual, but it does feel very heavily like 90s and 2000s inspired for sure. Okay, now let's dive into the clothing bits that are really popular within this aesthetic. You guys are going to see me style a ton of them in the upcoming 4 outfits. So like I said, the downtown girl aesthetic has a very casual feel, and the popular garments and fits include oversized sweaters, Henleys, graphic tees, whether it be a sort of more baby tee, cropped graphic tee, or an oversized one. I saw both in inspiration pictures online. Cropped or standard length cardigans, longer ones are not really seen within this aesthetic as far as I saw, but oversized ones were certainly popular. Schoolgirl or mini skirts, wide leg jeans, and from what I gathered, mid and low rise are much more popular than high rise, though tucking things into your pants, not very popular within this aesthetic. So I guess it wouldn't really matter if you had high-waisted pants because no one would know but you because you're wearing an oversized sweater over top of it. But if you did choose to wear like a cropped maybe band tee, then it looks like mid and low rise are much more popular than high rise. But as I always say, make the aesthetic work for you, not the other way around. Other things include claw clips, tote bags, as I previously said, over-the-ear headphones. I have some for my Walkman, so I am styling my outfits with those. A lot of them do kind of look like throwback headphones, kind of like my Panasonic ones for my Walkman. The sort of old school wired, very small over the head ones seem to be the more popular ones. But of course, if you have, wireless headphones or AirPods, or I have like wireless Beats that I wear to the gym and stuff like that, I don't see why that wouldn't work as well. Last couple of things: black and white Converse, black chunky loafers, black combat boots. Doc Martens is a really popular brand within this aesthetic. And then also leather jackets and blazers. The color palette is actually quite neutral for this aesthetic. It mostly sticks with blacks, browns, whites, creams, tans, and taupes, but red is a really staple color within this aesthetic as well. Red nail polish is really big, and just sort of red and burgundy accents throughout. I've also seen plenty of people wearing greens and blues in inspiration pictures. Media and style inspirations for this aesthetic, like I said previously, Rory Gilmore from the Gilmore Girls. I think just Gilmore Girls in general kind of fits within this aesthetic. The Heathers, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. It is a cult classic film. It is so good. And also The Heathers, the musical, the soundtrack is really big within this aesthetic, which is The Heathers, the movie, brought to Broadway. It's definitely a darker film, but it's really interesting, so definitely recommend giving it a watch if you're into sort of slightly creepy media. Pretty Woman, Gossip Girl, Uptown Girls, Saving Face, and of course the late Brittany Murphy are all inspirations for this aesthetic. Brittany Murphy is in Uptown Girls, and I think that is a huge style inspiration for this aesthetic. Music influences include Harry Styles, Taylor Swift, The Beatles, The Cure, Muse, Arctic Monkeys, Hozier, Girl in Red, Lana Del Rey, The Smiths, and then also people like Mozart and Beethoven. So you have sort of the classics, and then you also have just sort of the deeply emotional, sort of vibey music, which is what you get from people like Hozier and Taylor Swift and Lana Del Rey. And I feel like Phoebe Bridgers could be added to this list. Oh, also The Haim, I feel like could easily be added to this list. So there's certainly, it's like the vibey music, and then also classical music are really the sort of bread and butter here. Okay, the last bit here are activities and visuals that are tied into this aesthetic. So reading on the subway and in a park. I've seen the most amount of inspiration pictures of girls just with their headphones on, listening to music, reading on subways. A lot of other ones were women perusing through record stores or bookshops, shopping at farmers markets, learning an instrument, especially guitar. I saw electric and bass guitars were really popular. Thrifting, dancing to obscure music in your bedroom is like my favorite thing on here. This is something I think so many of us do. And of course, you do not have to be in the downtown girl aesthetic to dance around your room to obscure music. I remember very distinctly one January, all of my roommates in college were out of like the country. They were traveling abroad, and I was at school still, so I had the entire apartment to myself. I just wanted to live my Cameron Diaz The Holiday Dream, so I just blasted Mr. Brightside and jumped around the kitchen, and it was like the most fun I've ever had in my whole entire life. And honestly, if you've never just jumped around in your kitchen or in a room to just random music, whether it's obscure or popular like Mr. Brightside, do it. Do it. It just feels incredible and so freeing. I recommend. And then the last thing is taking photos with a cheap digital camera. So basically for me, this, like I said, is sort of the combination of just sort of main character syndrome mixed with like sort of model off duty. I think it's kind of the combination of the two. So Downtown Girl is such a beautiful aesthetic. I think it looks really lovely. I think it's very inclusive in terms of like who can wear it. I don't think that there's very restrictive styles within this aesthetic. I think it can work for really anyone, as any aesthetic could, but I think a lot of people would feel really comfortable in these styles, which I think is really great. I think it's a really great aesthetic. There's also Uptown Girl aesthetic, which I think to me looks a bit more posh. It's more like Downtown Girl aesthetic feels a little bit more Serena van der Woodsen. Uptown aesthetic feels a little bit more Blair Waldorf, if that makes sense. So it's sort of a little bit more upscale feeling, a little bit more like posh, a little bit more feminine, put together kind of look, whereas the downtown aesthetic feels a little bit more like relaxed, chill, sort of casual, but still like effortlessly beautiful kind of look, if that makes sense. So that, my friends, is the Downtown Girl aesthetic. I'm going to link all of the resources down below that I used. I basically just spend like hours scouring the internet when looking into these videos. I watch other people's videos on the aesthetic to see what I can learn from them, and then I've read like maybe 4 or 5 articles on the aesthetic. But anyway, without further ado now, here are the 4 looks that I styled that were inspired by this aesthetic and by the sort of downtown girl rules of fashion. Up first, I have a classic downtown girl outfit for you guys. I really wanted to make sure I styled an outfit that looked like this, since so much of the inspiration that I found on Pinterest for downtown girl outfits looked just like this. So starting from the bottom, I have on my chunky black loafers that I recently thrifted on Poshmark. Admittedly, they are a bit too small, but I'm doing my best to make them work because they are actually quite comfortable and they are exactly what I was looking for in a loafer. I've been looking for shoes like this for a long time, and so I really like them. So if I can find them in a size up, I'll probably swap them out, but for now I'm going to keep these ones and make them work. Moving up, I have on my new favorite pair of jeans. These are from Old Navy. They are like the sky highs or super high rise jean, and they have a sort of a flared leg, which I think works really well to give that slightly oversized look on the leg. When these jeans started to get really popular, the sort of oversized jeans started to get really popular, I had a really hard time finding a pair that fit on my body and sort of looked the way I wanted them to, and these ones just check all of the boxes for that sort of oversized jean fit. They're just so comfortable and I love them so much. They're again from Old Navy. Then moving up, I have on this black, tan, and white striped sweater. I thrifted this quite a while ago now, probably like 6 years or something ago now. This is one of my favorite sweaters ever, and it's got that nice oversized fit. It's so cozy, and this is just such a versatile sweater. You can use it for so many different aesthetics and so many different outfits. I found that stripes were a really popular print, especially in knitwear within this aesthetic, so I definitely wanted to incorporate that with this sweater here. For accessories, I just have on a little gold pendant. I feel like simple jewelry is sort of the move with this aesthetic, nothing too over the top, so just simple chains, simple earrings, and if you want, simple rings. I also have on some red nail polish, since I specifically read that red nail polish was a big part of this aesthetic. For my earrings, I have on these Etsy gold hoops. They're just some gold filled ones that I picked up on Etsy not too long ago. And then I also have on my little Panasonic headphones. I use these with my Walkman because it's 1980s in my house. I also have a little black claw clip in my hair. I actually picked this up at Walmart. I need to get really long ones, and Walmart happened to have a pack with a gray and a black one, and they are just perfect in my hair since I do have quite thick hair, so this one worked perfectly. I also have on a little tote bag. This is from the brand Out of Print. I actually picked this up at a local bookstore a few months ago, and I saw this tote and I absolutely had to buy it, so I picked that up. And I'm also just carrying around a little book. This is called Girls They Wrote Songs About, I believe. And I actually picked this up at a different local bookstore when I was up in upstate New York last month. And it's actually set in New York City in the 1960s or 70s, I believe. And so I'm really excited to eventually dive into that book. For the second outfit, I was really heavily inspired by some Rory Gilmore outfits, and then also just some flat lays that I saw on Pinterest. So for this look, starting from the bottom, I have on my white Converse. Now, if these were black and white Converse, I think they would have been even better. Also, I think a platform Converse could have looked so cool, but the only ones I actually own at the moment are just these plain white ones that I thrifted on Poshmark. I have the same jeans on again, and like I said before, even though mid-rise and low-rise jeans seem to be more popular within this aesthetic, there's not a lot of tucking in. At least I didn't see a lot of tucking in inspiration photos. So I think if you're more comfortable with a high-rise jean, or maybe that's all you have, then it really won't make too much of a difference if you just don't tuck your top in. And again, make the aesthetic work for you, not the other way around. So if you're more comfortable with a tucked-in shirt, go for it. Make it your own. Put a little bit of a twist on it. Moving up, I have on this brown Henley. This is also from Old Navy. Henleys are so comfortable. I really got into them just a few months ago now, and I just think they're so cozy, so comfortable. They're just a nice basic, and they're apparently quite popular within the downtown girl aesthetic. Now, underneath, there is that cute little lacy moment. I actually had to sew a piece of lace onto a camisole because I could not find a camisole with lace on it, but that is what I'm layering underneath. Those sort of lacy camis that we all used to have in like the 2000s are very prevalent within this aesthetic, and this really did give me Rory Gilmore vibes. I feel like I've seen her wear this exact outfit just with like a grayish blue Henley instead of with a brown one. I again just have on that gold pendant and gold earrings. I'm really going to keep the accessories mostly the same all throughout. And then instead of the book tote bag, I have this one on. Since downtown girls are into thrifting and secondhand books and all of that stuff, I thought it would be cool to throw in this tote that I have. I picked this one up at Target a couple years ago now, and this one just says there's no planet B because save the planet. Up next, we're switching out of jeans and moving into skirt land. So starting from the bottom, I have on those chunky loafers again. I think that Doc Martens could look really cool with this too, but I do love a good chunky loafer or a good chunky Mary Jane with a little plaid skirt. So I have on those loafers, and then I also have on these lettuce hem socks that I picked up on Amazon. They came in a pack of 4, and they were just all in neutral tones, which is perfect for my wardrobe. Moving up, I have on some sheer stockings. These are actually from a sustainable brand called Swedish Stockings. I picked these up last year, I believe, and I don't know about you, but I've never really had stockings last more than one season, and these ones are still going strong. So really excited to see that they are still holding up and they're quite comfortable. Over top of that, I have on this very mini. This is the shortest skirt in my entire closet. It's so short for me, guys, but I'm doing it to style the downtown girl outfits for you guys. But it is this mini schoolgirl skirt. I picked this up at Walmart. Actually, it was on clearance for $4 because they're sort of phasing them out, I guess. And I decided to pick one up because it was perfect for this aesthetic. It is just a black and white plaid mini skirt. I actually think it would be really cute with the sweater tucked in for my personal liking, but for the sake of this aesthetic, I left the sweater untucked. The sweater on top is thrifted. I got this. It's sort of a burgundy maroonish color mock neck sweater. It's kind of a lighter weight material, but I do think that if this were maybe a bit chunkier, it would be even more perfect. This I picked up at the Goodwill a few years back, and it's just a great basic to have in my wardrobe. Again, the accessories stayed the same, and I decided not to throw in a tote since I actually only own 3. I again have my hair up in a claw clip. This time I went for a gray one, and then I just have on all of the same accessories. Okay, and this last outfit is kind of a twist on the outfit that I shared with you guys last week in my holiday outfits video. So starting from the bottom, I have on my white Converse. To be honest, not my favorite pairing. I would much have rathered wear either the chunky loafers or wear some black high top Converse. I think could look really good with this, or some platform black Converse. But I did want to just have a little bit of variety in shoes, so I threw these white Converse on. Again, I thrifted these on Poshmark. Then the tights I'm wearing for this one are a bit thicker since we are talking about romanticizing living in New York in the fall and winter. So I have on some fleece-lined sweater stockings that I picked up at Target. They're the most comfortable stockings on the planet of Earth. Moving up, I have on this mini denim skirt. This is maybe a little bit of a divergence from the standard pieces seen in this aesthetic, but I still think that it works. It's a mini skirt, and mini skirts are quite popular, so I figured I was just gonna go for it. For the top half, I have on that American Eagle sweater that I thrifted. This one is still available in the American Eagle store, so if you are interested in picking one up yourself, you might be able to still find it online. This is just a neutral, sort of creamy colored sweater with maroons and browns and navies and stuff in the striping. Over top, I threw on my brown faux leather jacket from Target. I really wanted to style this jacket because I know leather blazers and leather jackets are really popular within this aesthetic, and I felt like this jacket went really well with this sweater, so I was excited to put this together. For the tote bag for this look, I have on a Pottsfield tote bag that I actually made myself. I bought like a blank tote bag and then just with some Sharpies drew "Welcome to Pottsfield" and drew a couple of the Pottsfield pumpkin guys on there. And I feel like it's perfect for romanticizing your life in the autumn, which is what this aesthetic is sort of all about, is romanticizing your life in New York City in autumn and winter, like I said. And then I wanted to just switch my hair up instead of just throwing it up in a claw clip, and so I just threw it in a ponytail, but I think half up, half down would have looked really cute too. And that is the final look. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I love this aesthetic. I love this aesthetic. The last few times that we've done these aesthetic deep dives, I have just found like new holy grail aesthetics that I'm adding into my repertoire. And now we have Downtown Girl, and I really, really love this one. It is for sure going to be added into my normal rotation of outfits. What I'm wearing today is a Downtown Girl aesthetic fit, and I can see myself wearing this like on repeat. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what other aesthetics you guys want to see me break down below. I love doing these kinds of videos, and I think that's really all I have for you guys. So don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and also just really briefly, I decided I'm going to do the cottagecore Christmas decor as short form content instead of long form content. So you guys will be seeing sort of YouTube shorts popping up here and there, and I'm also going to cross post them to Instagram and TikTok. So keep an eye open for that, for just sort of like DIY cottagecore Christmas decorations and things like that. I'm also going to be doing my 25 outfits for Christmas content in YouTube short world as well, so as short form content. So there should be daily uploads in terms of like YouTube shorts, TikToks, and Instagram reels throughout the month of December. And now I think that's really all I have for you guys. So I love you guys all so, so much. And don't forget, it costs absolutely nothing to be kind, so be kind to yourself and others. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.